Missouri Southern is celebrating and educating people on Japanese culture at their Japan Day. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with how the event aims to bring Japanese culture to Joplin.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Mike Mahoney, and we're going to start things off with a look at your first weather. And for that, meteorologist Nick Kelly. Nick.
We had quite a stormy start to the day, Mike. We had quite a few rounds of rain and thunderstorms pass on through. Thankfully, nothing severe, but at least we were able to salvage the rest of the day and much of the evening so far. 56 this morning is hopping out at 72 degrees this afternoon. That's after Joplin Regional picked up almost 3 inches at the rain bucket for today. Again, that is all due to the morning round of rain and storms that, as advertised, Doug said the other night, fired up right on top of us, just kept pushing off toward the east. We're seeing a bit of a lull in the action as we head into the overnight. That being said, while our warm front continues to lift on through, our focus will be on the cold front tomorrow. That's going to really try to shake things up by tomorrow afternoon. So the front lifting through now, the warm front, is going to try and bring in some scattered storms overnight. Nothing severe expected, but we'll keep temperatures in the mid-60s for the most part. We'll get some quiet time and some sunny skies tomorrow night with highs near 78. But you see that alert day coming up. That's because as the cold front rolls in, we got to keep a sharp eye out for strong and severe thunderstorms for tomorrow afternoon and evening. We'll break down what to expect with these storms coming up a little later.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Nick. Missouri Southern transported 4 state residents to Tokyo for their Japan Day celebration today. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky checked out the Far East Fun.
Missouri Southern State University is giving the 4-state community a chance to experience the rich culture of Japan, right here in Joplin.
This fall semester, we have been celebrating Japan with about 40 different activities, a lot of cultural events, but we decided to take one single day and kind of put it all together with a Japan Day.
This Japan Day was organized by Chieko Hiden, who's originally from Tokyo.
I'm from Tokyo, moved in States 1982, and just wanted to show there's a lot of things that misleading about Japan, Japanese food culture, so I thought show what I know about.
The event organizer wants people to know that there's more to Japan than what people may see in pop culture.
Way back when I was in teens, when I came to States first time, people asked me if we wear kimono, but I was wearing jeans. And so she said, "Oh, do you wear jeans?" So that's the, misunderstanding of it.
Japan Day participants were able to bridge those learning gaps while also appreciating the culture.
I learned a little bit more about Japan, like how Japanese people dress regularly and traditionally. Japan's just culture and everything is really amazing, and a lot of people just kind of get facts wrong.
For some, activities at Japan Day even help them with their self-esteem.
I like to dress up and go out in public and do things like this. It really brings up my confidence a lot. The character I'm in is actually from a Japanese anime. I figured I could dress up as the character and have her personality fit going on around her.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The wife of injured Baxter Springs firefighter Malachi Brown has provided an update on Malachi's recovery. Brown was severely burned last week when responding to a structure fire and was flown to a burn unit in Springfield to heal. According to Brown's wife, Malachi is having some difficulties and is being treated for pneumonia in both of his lungs. She says that doctors have told her Malachi's condition is likely to get worse before it gets better, but they are confident he will ultimately recover. The Baxter Springs Fire Auxiliary is asking 4-staters to keep Malachi in their thoughts and prayers. America's medical provider system is dealing with more than just an employee shortage. It's also getting short on medications. The Food and Drug Administration is currently listing 109 drugs as hard to get, with pandemic issues affecting supply availability. The American Medical Society is calling the problem a national health crisis. Three of the top 5 shortages concern chemotherapy, heart conditions, and antibiotics. When anti-inflammatory drugs take care of more than one condition, such as chemotherapy and COVID-19 patients, hard choices need to be made. It is now time for us to honor one of our many 4-state heroes, and tonight we recognize Clark Fancher of Nevada, Missouri. Fancher served as a seaman first class in the U.S. Navy, and he fought in the Korean War. Thank you, sir, for your service and your bravery. For more information on all our 4-state heroes, or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus, you'll learn about a daring dog rescue involving drones. It happened over in the Canary Islands, where some dogs were trapped by that erupting volcano. That's coming up right after weather.
We certainly had quite an active Saturday, but we're going to wrap up the weekend with another active Sunday lined up as we head into tomorrow. For the time being, though, it's nice to see our last look from indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. This is how it looked throughout the entire evening. Quiet skies and all the thankful for it, especially after the rounds of rain and thunderstorms that we saw this morning. And that did have an impact on temperatures, too. We dropped back. Quite a cold start yesterday morning, upper 30s into the lower 40s. Then we wasted no time warming back up to 72, give or take a degree or so across much of the region. But the rain and the storms this morning only allowed us to drop back into the mid to upper 50s rather to start the day out before we went right back near 72 once again from this afternoon. As Doug advertised the other night, once we hit 9, 10, 11 o'clock, the first signs of the thunderstorms came to life on the radar, and then everything just exploded right on top of us. So we had a few good waves of rain and thunderstorms this morning. Nothing severe, thankfully. But look at how much rain we got just from today alone. Almost an inch on the average wherever we saw the rain. But where you picked up the heavier amounts, pushing anywhere from 1 to almost 4 inches of rain, that did lead to some flash flood warnings, especially around the Joplin area throughout the course of the day. But that has temporarily subsided. But we are not done with the storm system just yet. And it wasn't just Joplin that saw kind of a chilly start this morning. Everybody did. Upper 50s to lower 60s across the board at about the midnight hour. And certainly by 7 o'clock in the morning, still upper 50s to lower 60s. Then once we hit the afternoon, look at how fast some of us got, at least into the upper 60s near Stockton Lake, and upper 70s and lower 80s in our southwestern counties. That's because we had a warm front lift on through during the course of the day, and in fact, it's still working its way across the region right now, continuing to lift to the north. But that's setting us up for the cold front out west. It'll reorganize and head our way tomorrow. Couple that with a developing upper level low. Doesn't look impressive now, but it is getting its act together in northern Utah. That is setting us up for a potential severe thunderstorm setup as we go into Sunday. You can see the low to elevated threat, certainly more prevalent for areas east of 69, but we only have a 5-hour window of opportunity, if you want to call it that, for any stronger severe storms. 3 in the afternoon until 8 o'clock in the evening. The storms that get going first will definitely have a wind, hail, and tornado threat before we try to see things switch over to mainly a wind threat as the storms move deeper into Missouri. But the warm front rolling through now is going to try to redevelop some scattered thunderstorms during the pre-dawn hours. These should not be severe, but it could bring some additional rain to get your day started. Then we're going to start the afternoon out quiet with some peaks of sun turning out ahead of the approaching cold front. And you can see how by 3 o'clock, we're going to start to see that cold front come to life with developing thunderstorms out ahead of it. 66 in the morning, 75 by noon. Highs pushing up to 78 for many of us ahead of the cold front before we see the thunderstorms really increase in coverage and intensity by 5 o'clock. You can see how the future track wants the leading edge to the front to start working into Joplin and southwestern Missouri. By 7 or 8 o'clock, though, these storms will be out of here. So once we get past 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, we're going to see temperatures drop back into the mid-40s to start Monday out before we see highs back at least in the lower to middle 60s on Monday. In terms of rain, not much of a flooding threat here, but with the heaviest of the rain, can't rule out anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to maybe an inch of rainfall. Looking beyond tomorrow in the 7-day forecast, once we get past 78 tomorrow, 62 on Monday, we'll go 74 Tuesday. We'll watch for another system by the middle of the week, but that will keep us mild and certainly fall-like as we head toward the end of the week, Mike.
Well, thanks as always, Nick. And Nick, a Canary Islands volcano continued to rumble today. The Cumbre Vieja volcano is not going away quietly or without a light show. The volcano let forth new lava blasts spurting into the air and reminding everyone why 7,500 people in the town of La Palma had to be evacuated. La Palma's western side has seen the lava ruin livelihoods and destroy homes. The Spanish government has pledged millions of dollars to help rebuild damaged infrastructure. Scientists say the eruptions, which started a month ago, could continue for 3 more months. A rescue attempt that's being called unprecedented has been launched to save 3 emaciated dogs trapped by that volcano. Lava from the volcano prevented the animals from returning to their homes. Emergency services authorized a cargo drone to take flight on Tuesday. The drone weighs 110 pounds and is equipped with a net. It has 6 rotors and 2 onboard cameras. Rescuers say this marks the first time they have used the drone to rescue animals. The operator had just 4 minutes to lure one of the dogs into the net and lift it before making a journey back over a stream of lava. A second drone monitored the mission. Helicopters cannot fly to rescue the dogs because hot air from the lava and volcanic ash can damage the rotors. When we return, we've got the latest on the film set fatality involving actor Alec Baldwin.
New court documents reveal who handed Alec Baldwin a gun that he fired and accidentally killed someone on a New Mexico film set. I'm Matt Finn in Los Angeles. The details coming up.
Investigators are still working to piece together what led to a fatal shooting on a New Mexico film set. The tragedy happened just a few hours after some crew members walked off the production because of working condition concerns. Fox News' Matt Finn has the latest.
Court records reveal an assistant director on the set of the film Rust handed Alec Baldwin the prop gun just moments before the fatal shooting, telling Baldwin it was cold, indicating it was safe to use. An investigation determining the assistant director did not know the gun was loaded with live rounds.
There's a really clear protocol when you have a firearm on set, and clearly the protocols weren't followed.
Cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed. The 42-year-old, originally from Ukraine, lauded by colleagues for her artistic vision and work ethic.
Incredibly talented person, like really not even rising, but I would say shining star.
Her husband, writing on Twitter, Helena inspired us all with her passion and vision, and her legacy is too meaningful to encapsulate in words. The film's director, Joel Souza, was also injured but is expected to be okay. Exactly what the prop gun fired is still under investigation. A shell casing was turned over to police. Investigators also took Alec Baldwin's blood-stained costume and the prop gun. The tragic incident is prompting a conversation in the film industry about firearm safety on sets. ABC's police drama, The Rookie, announced it will no longer use live weapons when filming to ensure the safety of actors and crew. The LA Times is also reporting that a prop gun had misfired a few times on the set before Baldwin's fatal shooting, and that a half-dozen camera crew workers walked off the set just hours before the incident. In Los Angeles, Matt Finn, Fox News.
Netflix employees and LGBTQ+ advocates are calling out comedian Dave Chappelle and Netflix for remarks Chappelle made during his recent Netflix special. During Chappelle's stand-up set titled The Closer, the comedian says that gender is a fact and referred to a lesbian woman as a man. He goes on to say he was, quote, a trans-exclusionary radical feminist. Protesters gathered near Netflix's headquarters this week and called out Chappelle for what they say are transphobic remarks.
We as trans people and non-binary people aren't getting visibility or respect in the entertainment industry to begin with. And to have something like Dave Chappelle's special not be noted that it's promoting discrimination and hate conversation is very hurtful to the activism and the cause that we're trying to progress ourselves in the industry.
Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos acknowledged the protests, saying he should have responded with more compassion to his employees' original concerns about the Chappelle special, but ultimately believes there's no need to warn people about the show's content or remove it from the streaming service. When we return, vaccine mandates continue to spark protests around the country. One of them could be seen in Fort Worth, Texas, where American Airlines employees say their freedoms are being violated. That story and more are next. Welcome back. Hundreds of GE workers staged a walkout at a company plant in Schenectady, New York. Workers say they are upset over a new vaccine mandate. Fox News' Michaela Singleton has that story.
Certainly no small showing by members of the local union, as well as other GE employees who say they're not just frustrated by the vaccine mandate, they also feel betrayed by the company they say didn't give them enough time to choose.
these factory workers have done a great job of working through COVID, and I think this is just a slap in the face to them.
We have been essential for 18 months, and now we went from heroes to zeros.
More than 200 Schenectady employees walked out on their General Electric jobs in protest Friday. They say it's been exactly 1 week since they learned GE would enforce the federal employee vaccine mandate.
A lot of people thought we would fall into the OSHA guidelines, which we're testing, and then we're being told that we're federal contractors, which we weren't very clear on.
GE confirms to News 10 all employees must be fully vaccinated by December 8th to fall in line with the executive order unless they can prove a religious or medical exemption. Chris DiPaolo is the elected business agent for the local chapter of the International Union of Electrical and Communications Workers of America. He says on such short notice, GE employees had less than a week to decide which first shot to take, meeting the deadline, or see if they wanted to go another route.
We have a lot of people that are vaccinated and unvaccinated, and we're just asking them to show unity for the guys that will lose their jobs.
These workers also say without them, they worry the national worker shortage will cripple GE projects.
We also make ventilators, so when the workforce is put out from not being vaccinated, it's going to actually cut important supply to save people's lives.
Dozens of current and former American Airlines employees gathered at the company's headquarters in Fort Worth on Friday. The group was there to protest President Biden's executive order requiring companies holding contracts with the U.S. government to have their workers fully vaccinated. Protesters chanted and held signs while describing the president's orders as unfair and a breach of their freedom. The protest comes just weeks after most major carriers confirmed they will follow the president's order to require workers to get the COVID-19 vaccines. Airline workers are classified as government contractors under the president's vaccine plan. The coronavirus and supply chain issues continue to cause problems for American businesses. And one of the ones that's hurting is the one that's behind your favorite milks and cheeses. We are learning about a dilemma for dairy farms coming up. The nation's dairy farmers are feeling the squeeze of the pandemic as supply chain issues are raising the cost of producing and packaging milk. Fox News' Austin Westfall is in York, South Carolina, where a local farmer says the cost of running a dairy business is nearly unsustainable.
Basic resources are getting expensive for dairy farmers. For some smaller farmers, it's getting tough to pay the bills.
At the end of writing all the checks and seeing what I had to pay, I had $3 left for the week.
Terry Atkins Dairy produces about 30 gallons of raw milk per day. Some of the business's nearly 70 cows are milked every morning, but during the pandemic, buying feed for the cows isn't cheap.
On average, it costs us around $250 a ton. Now it's over close to $350 a ton.
If you are a dairy farmer anywhere in the country, you're seeing increases in everything you need to produce milk.
Alan Bierga is a spokesman for the National Milk Producers Federation. He says supply chain issues are raising the costs of everything from fuel to milk jugs.
It's less income into the home.
So if the cost of business is rising for farmers, why can't they just charge people more for the milk they produce in order to make up for it?
Again, dairy is a perishable product. It can't just sit there forever before it's consumed. So there's always that pressure to get the product out.
Bierga says the cost of milk has gone up about 1% over the past year, but consumer inflation has risen 5%. He doesn't know when or if milk prices could eventually rise more for consumers. Until then, dairy farmers are expected to keep feeling the pressure.
And it'll take months. It may take a year, 2 years before we completely get the supply chain straightened out.
Bierga says another headache that dairy farmers on the West Coast are going through is the fact that many of the ports on the West Coast are backed up. That means that many dairy suppliers cannot ship their products overseas. In York, South Carolina, Austin Westfall, Fox News.
Overdraft fees shot up to a record high this year. According to a new bank rate study, the average cost to overdraw a checking account climbed more than $33 in 2020. It's a cash cow for the banking industry, with banks reeling in about $9 billion annually from the combination of overdraft, ATM, and certain other fees in recent years. Well, don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Danny Terzer. That's all coming up right here in your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And still to come, there has been yet another deadly bombing in Afghanistan, although this time Taliban fighters are the target. That story and more are next. At least 2 people are dead following a bombing in Afghanistan. According to Taliban officials, 2 bombs exploded along a road, killing 2 civilians, including 1 child. The bombs were meant to hit a Taliban vehicle, but no Taliban fighters suffered any injuries. One local official says 2 bodies and 4 injured civilians were rushed to the hospital after the attack. No one is claiming responsibility for the attack, but since the Taliban retook control of Afghanistan, the country has started seeing an increasing number of attacks by ISIS-K militants. United Nations researchers warn that several major economies are on pace to produce more than double the amount of fossil fuels than what was agreed to in the 2015 Paris Climate Accord. According to the countries the UN reported on were Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, Germany, India, Indonesia, Mexico, Norway, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, the United Arab Emirates, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The UN Environment Program analyzed data from 15 major oil, gas, and coal companies around the world and found they plan to produce around 110% more fossil fuels in 2030. Rio de Janeiro's famous Christ the Redeemer statue that overlooks the city was lit up in pink Friday night in order to bring attention to breast cancer awareness. Projected onto the statue were messages in Portuguese reminding people of the importance of early detection and prevention. October is the worldwide month for breast cancer awareness. The Neiman Jr. Institute says Brazilian women who detect issues early have a 95% survival rate. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Stay tuned.
We certainly had a bit of an interesting Saturday as we continue through this weekend, right before we start talking about Halloween in about a week's time. But it's hard to believe that we're a week out from Halloween and we're probably going to have, or likely have, some severe weather on the Sunday before Halloween. So we'll go over all those details here in a bit. But the time lapse, or the look rather, from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri showed us staying quiet throughout the entire afternoon and evening. And we certainly deserved it after, as Doug advertised the other night, we had quite a loud night with rain and waves of thunderstorms passing on through the region. Nothing severe, but look at the rain that we picked up just from today alone. This was primarily the morning rounds of rains in terms of the accumulations here, averaging out just under an inch, but heavier pockets pushing 2 to almost 4, if not 4.5 inches of rain, led to some areas of flash flooding that we had to deal with earlier today, but those flash flood warnings have subsided. We just had to deal with maybe a couple straggling little tiny showers to start the evening out, but we're going to see things get active again as we head into tomorrow. And as far as temperatures go, it certainly was a bit warmer compared to the cold start we had yesterday, but upper 50s to lower 60s from midnight all the way through 7 a.m. as far as lows for this morning. But once we got past the morning rounds of rain and storms, look at how temperatures went near 70 in our northeastern counties to lower 80s as you work southwest, closer to Tulsa and Green Country. That's because we actually have the storm system already having an impact on our weather. It's tried to fire off a few showers here, but it's firing off more prevalent storms north and east of the region as we head deeper into the night. But at the surface, you can already tell, like the counterclockwise swirl out in central parts of Kansas, that's the next storm system already making a play on our weather. It's pushing a warm front through first. That's what will keep us milder compared to certainly Friday morning and how we started today out. Then we got to keep an eye on that cold front out west for tomorrow and an upper level low developing out near Utah. Those two components will come together to give us a low to elevated severe spread, but the main focus looks to be along and east of 69 in terms of a severe potential from 3 in the afternoon until 8 o'clock Sunday evening. So a 5-hour window. It's not going to be an all evening or all night event, but the storms that do fire will have a chance to produce some high wind gusts, large hail, and unfortunately we can't rule out some tornadoes, especially the farther east you go into central and southern parts of Missouri. So let's have the future track walk you through things here. We keep quiet to start the overnight out, but as that warm front continues to lift on through, it's going to try and fire off some scattered storms for some overnight. This is not expected to be severe, but don't be surprised if you need the rain gear before you head out the door in the morning. Otherwise, we'll head into the afternoon, noontime to start things quiet. But here's 3 o'clock, just ahead of the approaching cold front. We can see the future track wanted to hint at developing rain and possibly severe thunderstorms as early as that point. 66 in the morning, 75 by noon. Before any storms get going, most of us will top out around 78 for the afternoon. Then here's 5 o'clock. You can see how that line of storms wants to work into southwestern parts of Missouri, including the Joplin area. And then we'll have all this out of here after 7 or 8 o'clock. With these storms, though, if there's not a solid line, we could have some embedded clusters that could produce possibly a few more tornadoes. So all of this we'll have to keep an eye on as we go through the rest of the afternoon and evening. But once we get past a quiet Monday and Tuesday, we'll watch for another storm system that'll bring in quite a bit of rain chances on Wednesday and Thursday. But overall, these rain chances will serve to keep temperatures in check. 78 tomorrow, 62 Monday, 74 on Tuesday, 50s and 60s. That's the predominant rule of thumb as we continue through Wednesday and into the coming weekend, Mike.
Well, thanks again, Nick, and stay tuned, sports fans. You are just 2 minutes away from Danny Terzer and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report. That's next.
The Missouri Southern Lions have recorded back-to-back wins the last 2 weeks for the first time this season. Today, the Lions aim to push their winning streak to 3 games. Missouri Southern on the road against Emporia State. Both teams 3-4 headed into the matchup. A 4th down here, ESU going for it. Braden Gleason to Tyler Common. That gets them the first down. Later on, the handoff to Kanan Brooks. He gets in for the touchdown. ESU up 7-0. Missouri Southern trying to get something going. Merrick Thompson gets the sack on Dawson Hurl. That forces a Missouri Southern punt. And time winding down in the first half. Hurl connects with Keandre Bledsoe for the reception. It's a 30-yard gain. That sets up a 44-yard field goal by Nick Williams. The Lions trail by 7 at half. Missouri Southern puts up a fight, but Emporia State squeaks out the win, 24-21. Pittsburgh State also on the road, coming off a big win last week. The Gorillas face Missouri Western today. Fast start for the Gorillas, and I mean really fast. Opening kick here. This is Dallas Flowers. He returns it 98 yards to the house. PSU up 7-0 very early. And here comes the PSU defense, flying in for the sack on Anthony Vespo. They pitch a first half shutout while the offense racks up the points. The second quarter, Tyler Adkins gets in from 5 yards out. And then Max Sexton looking here. He finds Jalen Martin. Martin toes the back line for the 14-yard touchdown. PSU up 24-0 at half. And then in the third quarter, Sexton to Devin Garrison. This is a 12-yard touchdown catch. Pitt State picks up a win on the road, 34-14. Postseason volleyball is underway in both Kansas and Missouri. We'll start with Missouri with the Class 4 District 12 semifinals. In the first semifinal of the day, number 1 seeded Carl Junction hosts McDonald County. Kylie Scott gets up for this one. Nice kill. CJ takes the first set 25-9. In the second, Destiny Berge, she finds the backcourt for the point. The Bulldogs win the second set 25-9 as well. McDonald County pushing this one a little closer. Samara Smith puts it just out of reach, but CJ on their game tonight. Berge buries another one. Carl Junction wins in straight sets 3-0. And that earns the Bulldogs a spot in the championship game. On the other side of the bracket, it's Webb City and Nevada. The Cardinals win 3-0. So the final is set. It's the top 2 seeds, Webb City and Carl Junction, a rematch from last year's district title game. That one the Bulldogs won. This year's championship game will be held on Monday at 6 p.m. In Kansas, the 3A Sub-State Tournament is being held at Baxter Springs High School today. The Riverton Rams are the number 1 seed headed into the day. The Rams win their first 2 games to advance to the championship. It's Riverton and Frontenac fighting for the title in a bid to state. Frontenac takes the first set 25-20. Heather Arnett set up for the kill down the line. Frontenac leading set 2 here. Then JC Tomlinson gets the kill of her own for Riverton. Rams take the lead and take the set 25-23. Decisive third set, Hattie Pyle puts it down. It's neck and neck, trading points. Morgan Compton pushes it over. Riverton comes back from being down 1-0 to grind out the 2-1 win. The Rams are sub-state champs and headed to the state tournament.
I don't have any seniors on my team, so I've got some young kids out there, and it's really giving them all the information I can give them to try to make them successful in the next play, but also all of them pulling together. And I could see that as we started to make that comeback. I could see the eye contact they were making with each other. The communication got a lot better, and that really turned things around.
We'll be right back with more news.
Welcome back to your News at 9. A group of students protested outside of a fraternity house near the University of Southern California campus this week. This comes after university officials shut down the frat after reports of an alleged sexual assault and drugging. Fox News' Coco McAvoy has that story.
The Sigma Nu fraternity house on Greek Row of USC's campus is a center of controversy. Students covered the frat house with signs and personal notes following reports of alleged drugging and sexual assaults at the house.
One of the notes was just saying you don't know how much trauma this is going to affect somebody for the rest of their life. And you can really just see all the pain.
USC leadership put the Sigma Nu fraternity house on interim suspension. This means the frat is forbidden from hosting social events. But students say the protest is about denouncing sexual assault and banding together.
We're here to just show solidarity to the survivors and the victims and show that we want to create a community where their voices can be heard.
Students say they want to see changes on the row.
It's a massive issue, and we see it recurring again and again in Greek life, and I think that it really needs to be addressed.
Students were also critical of how they say these incidents are handled by the university.
Just by the fact the university is kind of putting this narrative where it's like, we as women have to protect ourselves, and like it's on us to kind of take measures and take these protective measures.
Students say they plan to keep protesting until they see a change on campus.
And this is really an opportunity for people to show their true colors or really make change. I'm out here to do just that. I know there are many other people who wish they could be tonight and aren't for different reasons, but we'll keep showing up until we see something happen.
Queen Elizabeth II made a brief trip to a London hospital for some examinations. The UK's ruling monarch made an overnight stay at London's King Edward VII Hospital for what was deemed preliminary investigations. No specifics on the admission were given, although Buckingham Palace did say the visit was not related to COVID-19. The hospital stay was based on medical advice by her staff. It was the Queen's first visit to a hospital in years. We are not done with your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, we are checking out a pumpkin patch over in Arizona that's also got a ton of pups looking for their forever homes. That story and more are next. The rideshare company Lyft received thousands of sexual assault reports over a span of 2 years. Lyft revealed that between 2017 and 2019, they received a staggering 4,000 reports of sexual assault through its app. The data showed that sexual assault reports increased from around 1,100 in 2017 to 1,800 by 2019. But the company said that since their bookings also significantly increased at that time, it actually resulted in a 19% drop in incident rate. They also say more than 99% of their rides were incident-free. When domestic violence survivors think about leaving their abusers, one deterrent is leaving their pets behind. Very few women's shelters allow pets, but there is a nonprofit in Las Vegas that is aiming to break that barrier. Fox News' Ashley Soriano takes a look.
Here at Noah's Animal House, their goal is to help keep domestic violence survivors and pets united. They partner with a women's shelter next door. One woman shared her story with me. She traveled hours halfway across the country to stay here. We're calling her Sarah for privacy.
Can you do a high five? Good job. Now say please. Good job. Good boy.
Baxter is family, and leaving him behind wasn't an option for Sarah. She was in an abusive relationship for 10 years. One day she decided she and her children and Baxter were leaving.
For about 3 weeks, we slept in a car with Baxter, because I had no idea there was a place. And I was doing some calls and looking around, and they said you can go to Noah's, and we've been here ever since.
Noah's Animal House formed in 2007 in partnership with the Shade Tree Shelter for homeless and abused women and children. It was the first combination shelter of its kind. As of October, Noah's Animal House has helped more than 2,000 pets from 34 different states.
Your dog or cat is such an important part of your family that so many women wouldn't leave their abuser because they couldn't leave their animal behind.
Between its 2 locations in Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Noah's Animal House can care for 80 pets at one time.
Go, 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 go.
Providing veterinary care, food, toys, and private cuddle rooms.
Baxter! Becky! He's just like my child. I'm not leaving him behind anywhere, and he's my everything, just like my kids, and it's my job to keep him safe too.
Sarah wants other victims and survivors to know there is a way out.
When you're going through it, it's sad, it's scary, but we're gonna get a home soon and have my dog back.
Noah's Animal House has even taken care of snakes, rabbits, and tarantulas, and they accept women and children from any state. In Las Vegas, Ashley Soriano, Fox News.
A new study on African elephants says a lot of the continent's elephants are being born without tusks, and poaching could be to blame. The study says African species of elephants are evolving into tuskless creatures as a survival mechanism against poachers who want their valuable tusks. Researchers say a brutal civil war in Mozambique led to the killing and poaching of elephants with tusks for war financing. This caused more females already without tusks to survive and pass on a tuskless trait. The study says most elephants born without tusks between the early 70s and 2000 were female, and their numbers tripled during that span. There is a pumpkin patch in Arizona that also features some four-legged friends. The Desert Tales Animal Shelter in Tempe has plenty of plump pumpkins, and visitors can also adopt a cute puppy in a 2-for-1 offering. The shelter is doing its Pumpkin and Puppy fundraiser for the 2nd year in a row after the coronavirus shut down other fundraising options last year. Some of the pups are even dressed in their own Halloween costumes. Families can grab a gourd, snap some pics of their favorite pooch, and then decide later if they have got a tail-wagging match.
You come here, you get the best of both worlds. So if you're looking for a pumpkin and you're also considering adopting, whether it be right now or in the future, you get to find your pumpkin, take some great photos with your family, meet some adoption dogs, see if those guys are a good fit for you, and potentially leave with a new family member if that's what you're looking for and it is the right fit for you.
Well, that sounds like a good time at the pumpkin patch. The shelter will be open every day of the week for the fun event and all the way through Halloween even. All the proceeds will go towards shelter operations. Well, thanks so much for wrapping up your Saturday night with us. We will see you tomorrow for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Have a great night. Stay safe out there.